Welcome back. I'm glad you're here and hanging out with me again this morning, this afternoon, whenever it is you watch. So today we're talking about persistent faith. You know, there are times in our life when we go through difficult situations or we go through difficult seasons of our lives. And, you know, what do we do when we're faced with those things? We can learn a lot from Hannah. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 1, we learn about Hannah. And we learn that Hannah is one of two wives of Elkanah. And it says that Hannah is barren. And that's something she struggled with. She cried. She was upset. It was hard for her. And in verse 10 it says, and she was in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. So she was crushed. This was a hard thing for her. And it didn't help that in that same story we hear that the other wife who had kids taunted Hannah. So Hannah's going through enough as it is. And then to have this other woman heaping all of this unnecessary taunting and unnecessary pain, it doesn't help anything. It just makes things worse. And, you know, she's dealing with enough already. She doesn't need someone else to heap on more, you know, kick her while she's down, you know. So in verses 12 through 15, it says, and it came to pass as she continued praying before the Lord, and Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought that she had been drunken, and Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured my soul out before the Lord. Instead of letting that bitterness take root in her, or letting that anger build and build, she pours her heart out to God. She knew that God was the only answer to her prayers. She was persistent in her prayer. She laid it all out there. She was honest. She had such a prayerful heart. She remained strong in her faith. Instead of letting this turn her away from God, it drew her near to God. So she knew there was no one else that could help her. She knew that there was no one else that loved her as much as God did. So she takes it all to Him, and she just bears her soul. Then in verse 11, she says, and she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look upon the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give thine handmaid a child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. So she makes this promise to God, and she vows to God that if He would give her this child, that she would give that child back to Him. Now, most of us as a mom, those of us that are moms, we can't imagine taking our child back to the temple and leaving them there to live and serve God and others. And, you know, we have a hard enough time dropping them off at preschool, their first day of preschool, and their first day of kindergarten, and their first day of first grade. We can't imagine dropping them off and, you know, we're just leaving them there. So I had a hard enough time, you know, when Justin went on a 2-week mission trip when he was about 14 years old. He joined a choir that they went around. It was young people, and they went around the country singing. I had a hard enough time dropping him off with people that he didn't know to travel around the country. And when we left there, I cried all the way home. All the way home. And he was 14. So, but here Hannah is And if you go to verses 26 through 28, it says, "And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord." And he worshipped the Lord there. So she gives him back to the Lord. So when Hannah prayed, she didn't hold back. She poured out her heart to God. She was persistent in her prayer. She surrendered herself, all of herself, to God. When we go through these difficult seasons of our lives, we can learn a lot from Hannah, and we can be like Hannah and just pour our hearts out to God. We can stand strong in our faith, stand firm in our faith, knowing and believing that He is the only one that can help us. He is the only one that can bring us through it, and He will love us through the entire thing. So God can handle every weight, every burden, every fear, every anxious thought. He can handle every bit of our loss, every bit of our hurts, every bit of our trials. He can handle it all. And Hannah knew that. She knew that, and she experienced that. She lived it. And then in 1 Samuel 2, verses 1 and 2, it says, "And Hannah prayed and said, My heart rejoiceth in the Lord, my horn is exalted in the Lord, my mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our God." So she takes time to give God thanks. She remembers His faithfulness. She recognizes that there is none like Him, that He is our rock. When we face difficult battles, when we face difficult hardships, loss, trying times, disappointments, discouragement, hurt, remembering His faithfulness gives us strength. It encourages us. It reminds us that He's not abandoned us. That, here Hannah is. She took time to praise God. And she trusted God. She completely depended on Him. God took her weeping and He turned it into joy. He renewed her. He restored her. And we may not always have the outcome to our situations that we wanted, but if we've brought it all to God and if we've laid it at His feet, we've poured out our hearts to Him, He's going to restore us. He's going to heal our broken hearts. He's going to love us through the entire thing, and He will give us exactly what we need when we need it. He knows what we need better than we do. So I hope that you have learned a lot from Hannah. I learned a lot from Hannah, looking through her story, hearing her words of praise, seeing how persistent she was in her faith, in her prayer life, and seeing how with the battles that she faced, the struggles that she had, God is the one that she turned to. She did not allow that to turn her away from God and allow bitterness to take root in her life. She went to the only one that could help her with any of it. So we need to be like Hannah. We need to have that persistent faith. I hope that you have a great week this week. I thank you again for joining me today. I love seeing comments and seeing each of you and hearing what you get out of it, and it just blesses me. So I hope that you have a great day, and until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks, guys.